up in Austin, Austin, Texas, and I started riding in 1990. And back then, all we really had was Scam and Sec, and Rab, and Rage, Schemo, and Kino, and Lace, to name a few. That's all first generation Austin. And my mentor was Scam, Al Martinez, rest in peace. And basically, he taught me the ropes. And so that was 1990. And from 92, 94, I left to San Francisco. And that's where I got exposed to like Psycho City and a lot of the Bay Area heavyweights. And Dream, Spy, Crash, Twist, all those cats. So when I came back in 94, you know, a lot of my influence came from the Bay Area, besides East Coast. That's originally what I was schooled on, was East Coast letters. And basically, when I came back in 94, I met Saint, who had moved from Albuquerque. And we met up. He showed me his stuff, I showed him mine. I was really impressed by his skill. And back then, he was a badass, still is. And basically in 95, towards late 94, early 95, you know, we decided to go ahead, and me and Saint decided to start MBK. Basically what we wanted to do was take the best riders in Austin at that time, which there weren't many, and come together as a crew and basically just take over. And that's what we did. And so I would say MBK started with me and Saint going around recruiting either riders that were already established or up-and-coming riders. Sloke, Saint, Repo, Omen, Summit, View, Short, Jib, oh God. I know I'm missing one or two, man. God, how many, man? You know what, man? Let me count off my fingers one more time. Hold on.
I mentioned Rex and Worm.
Yeah, Rex and Worm. Thank you. That was it. Those are the two I was missing. No disrespect to Rex and Worm. But yeah, it started out, so I believe that's what, 8. And that's how we started. And we just took over. I mean, you got to understand, back at that time in Texas, man, there really wasn't a whole lot. El Paso was already established. I mean, if I give props to anybody, it would be El Paso. But they're so far west that we really didn't know much about them. Saint did, because he was from Albuquerque. But I had always heard of Grave and Durock, but and they were crushing long before us. So if I give shout outs to anybody that was holding it down in terms of time, it'd be El Paso. Now, that's not to say that there weren't you know, people painting in Houston and Dallas and San Antonio, because there always was. But in terms of like really putting Texas on the map, you know, and I would say what did that was when MBK went to St. Louis back in '96 and '97, excuse me, and that's where MBK first got noticed in terms of nationwide. We had already been noticed in Texas, but. So I could go as far as to say that MBK is responsible for putting Austin, Texas on the graffiti map. And, you know, mad props to the people who came before us, but at the same time, nobody had really taken it outside of the city. And from there, you know, it splintered off into other groups, you know, A2M. A lot of the guys these days, you know, they're still involved in art in one form or the other. A lot of it's still paint. When we get together every now and then, we'll get together and do a production. But MBK is scattered nationwide, so. Well, I mean, St. Louis, you know, first of all, nobody really heard of graffiti from Austin. And the production that the crew did out there, you know, Shaolin, the Shaolin production. I think it really took people by surprise, and that was one thing I think that was special about MBK, is that each individual rider could hold their own and have their own style. So we really didn't have a crew style. You know, everybody had their own thing going. But when we came together, you know, we worked as a crew, and that's really, you know, the way I was taught as a crew. It comes together to create, you know, to perform, and to put in work. And when we all would come together, you know, we had all these ideas flying. And, you know, it was a process of elimination, and you know, we had to narrow them down. But I think that's what made MBK such a strong crew, is that everybody had their own style. And when we came together as a crew to do a production, it showed.